Alright, so I just finished making my back seat from a Honda Fit couch. Alright, put the back seat there. I used some 2x3 instead of 2x4s. 2x4s are probably overkill, and actually even 2x3s are pretty sturdy. So you can see how I framed it up. See how I framed it up. Remember, the back seat is nothing being held by except for where it hooks onto right here. So I made these as well. The radius here is I shouldn't say the radius. I should say the diameter here is 1 inch. ID in here is 1 inch. So I have two, just like the car has. So that way you have a different reclining. But I think I like the more reclined position better. So it's pretty sturdy. It's actually very sturdy. So how that mounts on is, this 2x3 here, and I doubled up on the 2x3s right here. That made it a lot stronger, a lot sturdier, instead of just having a single. And this part there, because the seat is what's pushing it down, so it has this kind of a compression force, but there is a certain amount of force being pushed out that direction because of this angle here. If my knee was always like this, it would be completely compressing, which would be stronger. But you can only extend the seat out so far. I extend the seat out to a good amount. So this bottom 2x3 here is what was it? It was 3 feet 36 inches basically. So that's as long as I want it to be. I wouldn't mind it to be shorter, like in line right here. But that means this right here, if this support right here was perpendicular or upright, it would be too much pushing in that direction, and the forces would be all funny. I mean, I could have made a brace from here going that direction, basically diagonal this way, to counter that force. But I made it. I'd rather have the more compression force. I mean, that could have shortened my piece up a little bit, but and originally that was what my plan was. But the thing is, when you lean back, if your support's right here, you lean back, the chair or the couch basically could tilt back, right? It flips back. So that's the reason why I made this part right here, made this down here 3 feet, so that way when you lean back, it's fine, it's still stable. It doesn't want to flip back on you. So that's it right there. Majority of the weight is being supported, I would say, on this right here. That's where the factory bolt is. This thing still tilts down just like like a factory seat. Right, so the factory bolts, there's 2 for each seat, 2 here, and the other one has 2. My center post here is not actually centered because the bolt on the other seat is actually more kind of closer to center. So to make the clearance for the bolt, to go through and have access at the bottom to tighten it down, I had to kind of offset it a little bit to one side. Let's see. What else? If I were to do something a little bit different, I would have made the bottom here, this bottom piece here, I would have made it extend out, so that way this piece is also laying on top of that as well, sitting out, just like it is over here. I would have made that, and also I would have made the length here, the center here to the center of here, basically the center of the bolt to the center of where the seat leg is, down here. I would have made it 12 inches. I made it 11 3/4. Seems, you know, when I measured it on the car, I mean, I measured as best I can with the measure tape and the level, so that way I could plumb it and such. And it seemed like it was about 11 3/4, but on here it seems like it's kind of a little short, a little bit shy. I think it could have been a little bit further and make it 12 inches center to center, and that would have probably been a little better. But looking at the leg itself here, it's actually almost perpendicular, just about. If I made it 12 inches, it would have been angled a little bit more, you know, that direction, just a tad bit, you know, just by a few degrees. But the way it is, it's pretty good. So it works. Let's see what else about this thing. Yeah, so it's pretty sturdy. I use, you know, these things came in 8-foot lengths. These 2x3s came in 8-foot lengths. I actually used, how many did I use? I think I used, was it 5? I think it was 5 of them. I still have a little bit left over. I still have like half of a 8-footer left over, close to half. So didn't use that much wood. I mean, these things are, I forget how much they were. They were like, I think, a couple bucks. Let's see. So looking at how my feet is positioned, let's look at how my feet is positioned here. If I sit down on it, my feet, you know, bare feet, I'm pretty much flat on the floor for the most part. Right. So there's, you know, so it's not out like this where, you know, where my feet's flat on the floor, my feet's sticking out, or so low where I have a gap underneath my you know, my thigh behind my knee here, if it's too low. So it's good height for me. And it's a little bit higher than my ottoman. And you see further down, you see my ottoman down there. So it's slightly higher than my ottoman, right down over here. You see my ottoman, so that way I could straighten out my legs and still be comfortable. You know, if the ottoman is higher, it's actually, it would be uncomfortable. So being higher than the ottoman is actually a good thing. Let's see what else about this thing. Yeah, I used copper piping water pipe 3/4 inch mounting, you know, copper strips right there. I think I might put one more for each one of those to make it just a little bit sturdier. And the reason why I use the copper ones instead of steel ones is that, you know, copper's a little bit softer, so that way if I'm pivoting this thing, basically it scratches and digs into the paint a little bit less. It's not as, you know, since it's not as hard, it digs in less. Let's see, I think I showed you guys the back of the bolt, where it is right here. Right, the back of these bolts are here. These are 2.5 inch bolts. What size were they? I think they were 3/8, or I think they were about 3/8, maybe maybe a little less, I forget. But anyways, let's see what else. Oh yeah, so I use screws and glue. So here you see screws and glue. So glue by itself is pretty strong, and screw by itself is pretty strong. But when you use both of them together, they become a really strong joint, much sturdier that way. That's actually how I put my IKEA cabinet dressers together too. You know, they're just screws, a couple screws here and there together, and they're kind of flimsy when you do that. But when you add the glue to it, the glue and the screw together, it makes its cabinets really strong. So like when you move it around, it doesn't flex and flop around too much. It's just like this thing, it doesn't really flop around much at all. The main part that flops would be, the back support up here, right? This piece, because basically it's just standing out by itself. There's nothing, there's no triangulation to this piece here. The triangulation is the seat itself, so it's basically this big triangle, but then it pivots here, so it's kind of we're actually right here, so it's kind of not a solid triangle, so it's not as strong. I mean, if I really wanted to make it strong, I would probably make a starting from here somewhere and triangle it all the way up to here, and that would make a triangle on this, and it would be even sturdier. And this thing won't flap around at all. This right here won't flap around at all. But the way it is, it's fine, because really the load on it, the load on this is when you're sitting back on the seat and it's pushing back that way. So that's fine. So it doesn't flap around that way. So it's I believe it's okay. Let's see what else about this thing. That's about it. So this works really well. Everything works real well. So I actually, here you can see it actually sticks a little bit past the seat. The reason why I did that is because when I screwed on my bracket here, I screwed on my bracket right there, right? When you screw things on the a wood stud, when you're too close to the edge, there's a tendency for it to crack right here, or split, I should say. That's why I gave myself a little bit of space. Potentially I could cut this down now that it's all together. I could probably cut it down an inch or inch and a half off right here and make it more flush with the seat here, but I probably won't do that, because this is gonna sit right underneath this window right here where the ottoman is, and it's gonna be basically against that wall, where obviously there's gonna be this foot or so of space between the wall and the back of of my couch now. A 2-seater, 2.5-seater couch. So that's basically it right there. All right. That's it. Usually when you make things with wood, duck fur, I think this is duck fur, it's wood. Duck fur is actually very strong. I forget what the compression load is. Compression load is real strong. When you look at houses, how they're built, how they're framed up, you notice that everything is it's basically everything's compression load. There's no shear load or tensile load. Usually those type of loads, because of how it's connection, there's if there's a shear load, for example, in this case I use screws, but on a house, on a nail, the wood wouldn't be the one that bears the load. It would be that nail that bears the load. So that's not very strong. So you look at a house, everything's compression load on how it's framed. When I built this, I had that same idea in mind, making sure that everything's compression load. But there is this part here does kind of slightly push back towards the, because of its angle, it doesn't completely push down this way. It actually pushes that direction. So it's kind of a sort of a compression, and also sort of a tensile load as well on, I probably would say, on that end, on this joint here. This joint not so much, I don't think, but this joint here, because this thing, when it's loaded down, it would want to angle that direction. So that joint down there would want it to basically split off. That joint right there would want to, this joint down here would want to lift off. It wants to spread like that, like so. Sort of a, that's sort of a tensile load there. And the way that I screwed everything on, it's I should be fine. I don't think I think this thing is very well built. Here I am sitting on it or kneeling on it, and I'm pushing back, tilting back, and it's completely solid. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. So, all right. So thanks for watching. The video is kind of long, but anyways, so I did something usable with my seat. Normally I don't usually have people in the back seat, so that's why I did this. The cool thing about the fit is that it only has those 2 bolts, and as with my couch, I only have a few screws here, and I could basically easily take this thing off and put it back in the car if I need the seats. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.